Hello, I'm George Peroulas. Coming up on Below the Line, we explore the most coveted positions on a set, the director and the assistant directors. So keep watching. The action begins now on Below the Line.
It's Below the Line with George Peroulas. On tonight's show,
Tonight's guest has been directing film, television, corporate media, and national commercials for over 35 years. Please welcome Clio Award-nominated director George Cochran. How are you? Welcome. We're so glad to have you here. Thanks again.
Oh, thank you.
Let's get started. How did you get started in the film business?
Well, I was 13. Was mesmerized by the various publications that came to the house, the McCall magazine and what have you, and what I looked at these still lives and what have you that were in these magazines, and I said, wow, I'd really someday love to do that. So I ended up going to RIT, ended up working for one of the best illustrators in New York City in stills. Started my own business way back when I was 24, I think. And produced a lot of still things. What people would say to me is, George, you know, you got to get into film. You really do this, you know, the quality of the image and all that kind of stuff. I say, well, I said, I don't really want to do film. And eventually I said, you know, I really want to do film. So I got involved with the DGA and as director, and it's never looked back. We've been producing things that you've mentioned, shorts and what have you, and commercials, which is my really true love. For years.
And the DGA is the Directors Guild
Of America, yes. Yes.
and that's a union, correct?
It's a guild.
It's a guild.
Yes. Which is a union, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, I was affiliated with them, retired from that.
And you've done all sorts of films, all sorts of lengths, and television and the commercials.
Yes.
Your commercials, your national commercials and campaigns is impressive. McDonald's, Hardee's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Budweiser, Miller, and Coors Beer, ExxonMobil, Stouffer's, Kraft, Betty Crocker, and Jell-O.
I love them.
How did all that happen?
Well, you know, when you take somebody's bio or you take their life and you put it all in one little sentence, it seems like it all happened overnight, but it didn't. It took years to develop a reputation, and essentially what I became was an insurance company. They would say, hey, you know, Cochran's, somebody's going to deliver for you, and not only that, going to add to whatever the storyboards offered, and with sufficient time what happened was that Coors did a lot of work for them. Miller was a client of mine for 17 years. Love those people, love all of them. They really had a great run. It was really very, very positive time for all my crew, which is what your show's about, and for me, you know, as the owner of the production company and as well as the director. Yes.
And because of your great work on these
Thank
projects, you were nominated with 4 Clio Awards, which is the highest honor in advertisement. And tell us about what those spots were.
Well, there was a Jell-O spot, which, as you mentioned last, which won that nomination, and there was a child abuse thing I did for that organization, which won. Another one was for a different beer, New Amsterdam, and off the top of my head, I can't remember what the 4th one is. It was another, obviously, pretty good commercial to get nominated. I don't remember that one. But, yeah.
Well, good. That's very impressive.
Well, thank you.
How do you transition between doing those commercials and, let's say, a film or a corporate project? What's the difference in your work and how you work on those?
Well, it really, the biggest thing is if it's live. If it's live, it's a whole other world that we live in. If it's not live, it's very consistent with actually producing commercials. And producing commercials is a lot of homework. I mean, you really need to have pre-production, 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 because every aspect of it that you can eliminate before you get on the set is really going to be a time saver and a money saver in terms of production dollars and crew time. Crew time is a very, very expensive proposition when you're talking about union, which is what I always was. And you have an opportunity then to bring all these aspects of it together, and clearly that begins to be the answer to what I'm saying.
And pre-production is very important.
Oh, yes.
Costs are very important in pre-production because you don't want to get on set and waste time, right?
No, I don't. What happens with your assistant director and your producer, and again, the bottom line, I mean, you know, I'm very sensitized and very passionate about understanding crew and who's the gaffer and who's the grip and how they all work together. And we used to shoot, they say a successful year is 60 days a year. We used to shoot 140, you know. I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, I was never home, you know. And bottom line is, which is interesting because of what you're talking about, is that the relationships that you build with crew, basically I'm an in-the-trench kind of director is really what I've always said to myself. And I'll die for them, but they got to die for me. So, and they don't, because they say, you know, that we're married in a sense, and what we're going to do is produce very, very positive images, very, very positive environment. And my little thing that I always say is that you can't make positive images in a negative environment. So everybody has to get along. It's important.
You mentioned that pre-production is very important. With all these people coming together, it's very expensive to do this. You don't want to be arguing over a detail. That's why you have the pre-production meetings, right?
That's correct. And we would talk about things, including napkins, which might be something which everybody would say, oh, come on now, what is it, a white napkin or a green one? I mean, it's a folded how, where is it on the, how close are you to it, what's the frame's responsibility, what are we communicating? And you'd have meetings about these things, and occasionally they would go a little bit too long with respect to detail. And what that precipitated was shooting a number of different ways, which is the advertising industry. I mean, one take is not going to happen. It just isn't going to happen. You're going to have multiple takes. If you have a shooting ratio of 10 to 1, you're a pretty cool director, you're a pretty cool crew. People say, oh, I only shoot twice, I only shoot 3 times. Well, good for you, but I like the luxury of the alternative. And when you're in an edit and you're looking for that little piece of something that's just right, and it's not in take 3, but it's in take 9, you say, thank God I shot 10. It's the nature of the business.
Stay with us. More with George right after this.
Coming up next on Below the Line.
Everybody gets a shot at directing once, but you may never direct again.